the town. Everywhere we go, we bring the curtains down. Shandor's got his head up in the clouds so high. And Farty's dropping truth bombs, making grown men cry. We swear like sailors cause a big commotion. Getting thrown out, it's like our life's devotion. For bars and cafes, they show us the door. But we keep on laughing, yeah, we keep asking for more. Sanders got a mouth that never knows when to quit. He'll say the wrong thing just for the hell of it. Farty's on a rant about the state of the nation, while Sanders in the corner lacking concentration. We swear like sailors cause a big commotion. Getting thrown out, it's like our life's devotion. From bars to cafes, they show us the door. But we keep on laughing, yeah, we keep asking for more. We've been banned from the bar, kicked out of the diner, but we'll just find another cause the night's getting finer. Shander's a dreamer with his head in the world. Farty's got opinions that'll make your hair curl. Shander tried to flirt, but it turned into a mess. He called her a lady, she heard hot mess. Farty's on his soapbox, preaching to the crowd, but all they hear is noise cause he's way too loud. We swear like sailors cause a big commotion. Getting thrown out, it's like our life's devotion. From bars to cafes, they show us the door. But we keep on laughing, yeah, we keep asking for more. So if you see us coming, better lock the door. Cause Sandra and Farty are always looking for more. We're a whirlwind of chaos, a two-man parade. And we'll keep on rolling till our legend is made. Yeah, we'll keep on rolling till our legend is made. We've been banned from the bar, kicked out of the diner, but we'll just find another cause the night's getting finer. Shander's a dreamer with his head in a whirl. Farty's got opinions that'll make your hair curl. We've been banned from the bar, kicked out of the diner, but we'll just find another cause the night's getting finer. Sanders a dreamer with his head in the world. Farty's got opinions that'll make your hair curl. Sander tried to flirt, but it turned into a mess. He called her a lady, she heard hot mess, didn't find her. Yeah, we'll keep on rolling till I let your hair curl. So if you see us coming, better lock the door. Cause Shonda and
Ah, fun. Hi guys, how are we doing? I'm not telling you what Farty was talking about. It's between me and him. It's a secret. Morning, Farty. How's it going? Well, it's night for you, right? It's almost bedtime for Farty. It's funny how we used to do this the opposite. It used to be, a long, long time ago, once upon a time, it would be, oh, it's almost my bedtime, and Farty's just starting his day. Farty, you can start your day in the afternoon, okay? Ducky, how's it going? Yeah, it's 5 a.m. 5 a.m. Central Time. We got Jelly Duck in the chat. How's it going, buddy? Welcome to the news stream where we talk about the news and the stuff going on in the world. It's garbage. And that's why it's called It's Garbage. And that's why this podcast is garbage. Farty, do you like the new visual for the stream? You're not even. No. It's new. I wanted to get your thoughts before we went into the meat and potatoes of the stream today. Yeah, that's from StarCraft. Exiled the news. Yeah, they did exile the news. Did you see that? Now it's all propaganda. Um, so, for those of you who don't know, the second presidential debate for the United States presidency took place this last week, and I'm gonna keep my hands off of this one, and I'm just gonna let you go on your rant, Farty, and action. Yeah, I'm not even worried about that. I'm worried more so about the fact that the moderators who were supposed to be impartial, completely fucking neutral, which maybe we should start having our debates in Poland. But we'll talk about that later. Uh I don't even care about that. They were just completely biased the entire time, and talking down to Trump. They were just they were, and then people are like, "Oh well, Trump talked more than Kamala, and they didn't shut the mics." They didn't shut the mics off like they said they were going to, and they didn't fucking hold the format like they were going to. And I'm sorry, this was supposed to be your rant, Farty. Please take it back from me. Yeah, and the fact checks even well the pisser is that the fact checks they were doing on Trump were fucking they were outright lies too. Yeah. And then they're still using debunked fucking material for the they're still using debunked material. Yeah. 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 Oh, and they did it to Tulsi Gabbard. They did it to her too, and they did it to like the other 200 or so fucking other Democrats that jumped ship and said we support Trump. Yeah. And to be clear, I'm not saying I'm pro Trump or anything. I'm just saying there was in this debate there was no there was 100% bias. There was no impartiality on the part of the fucking moderators. And that's what pissed me off the most. Well, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was another problem I had. Trump just wouldn't fucking shut up. Like, in my opinion, he lost the debate. He lost the debate only because he showed up. Oh no, I know. She lost the debate too. They both lost the debate. You can. What's that? Yeah. She didn't say a fucking thing that was. She didn't explain any of her policies. It was always. Everything that came out of her mouth was either defending herself or attacking Trump. And in debate, yeah, and in debate, you can have two losers, right? Who won the debate? Well, certainly what Trump definitely didn't win the debate, but neither did Kamala. So who won the debate? TV ratings won the debate. Sorry, I like it. Yeah, it's it just pisses me off. It just pisses me off, and this whole fucking thing just it wasn't Trump versus Kamala. It was Trump versus ABC and Kamala. And my problem is that the fucking news media in and of itself, at least here in the United States, is almost entirely owned by Democrats. And when I say owned by Democrats, I mean there is Democrats who are in office, they hold political office, and they have connections you know, either through marriage or being a close relative. And you see it time and again. Cuomo, right? Chris Cuomo and what's his name? Fucking the governor Cuomo. Fucking hand in hand, right? They're brothers. And Cuomo's in fucking in news media. And now he's trying to do to more centrist media, and I would dare even say left or right leaning media. Now he's trying to do in there what he's done in leftist media um as controlled opposition. And I know this is an aside, I really do, but I do think it's important to highlight the problem with the debate. And the problem with the debate is the fucking it's all controlled by one party. It's essentially state sponsored media. It's state sponsored fucking talking heads who are given a script by their handlers, this shadowy puppet organization that we call the United States government. And I really hate to be the tinfoil hat guy, but that's how I'm seeing the world. Like I can't not see the world that way. See, but even Fox News is just controlled opposition. They wouldn't be any more fair to Trump than ABC. They should have been harder on Kamala simply because she's in office now. She can do the shit she said she was going to do day one. Yeah. Yeah, that yeah. It it just pisses me off. And they didn't even talk about the potential of World War III. They didn't even put that on the fucking thing. Yeah. You didn't have any of the fucking guys going, "Hey, the world's in kind of a shit state right now, and you've got, potential war on the horizon, an international war on the horizon. And this is a war that we started, right? There is no being neutral in this war. There is no us going, you know what, we're just gonna stay out of this one, like fucking what's his face did in for World War II, right? And we tried to do for World War One, but they just fucking dragged us in. Um, yeah, this one is going to be entirely us doing it. We are going to be the provocateur of World War III, and it's already happening. And they didn't even touch it during the debate. No, they're not telling us they're winning. They're telling us they need more supplies. Yeah. Yeah. I saw a video earlier on Twitter. Someone had posted it, and it was they were watching the debate on an old CRT that they had rigged up in a tent, and they were they were deployed servicemen. I don't know what branch of military they were in, but they were deployed in a war zone, and they were in a tent, and they were watching TV, and the TV had it on there, and they had this clip of Kamala saying, "Well, there's no active servicemen in any war zone anywhere in the world for the first time ever," and the the servicemen go, "Where the fuck are we then?" And there's a group of like 10 or 12 of them there, and you see the fucking bunks, you see the foot lockers. Like, how 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 are you this brazen? We live in an age where anyone can record anything from anywhere in the world and put it on social media. And social media is more reliable than any of the news sources. Any of them. And the fucking legacy media either doesn't understand this or ignores that we don't need them, that we're going to verify. I guess they're banking on the fact that we're not going to verify, even though we're seeing shit on social media. And even though we're seeing people called out for their lies on social media, right? Like, look at fucking, um, look at half a dozen of the other shit Kamala was lying about during the fucking, just half of what she was lying about during the fucking her segments in the debate. Yeah. 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 Dude mentioned Benny Hill specifically. Ouch. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, the funniest part is, yeah, like you said, the environmentalists. That's the funniest part about it. Oh, we're for the planet, and then they start burning all the shit, and and it's releasing all that toxic vapor into the fucking air, and they're all like, "It's your buddy Garper." Like that fucking scene in you remember that part in Ace Ventura where he's doing the football thing in the tutu? Yeah, it's like that. Yeah. Oh yeah. We need to save our forests in California. They keep burning down every year. Okay, well, maybe we should go take care of the underbrush. Maybe we should stop plugging the fucking water when it's coming in from Canada through that fucking through that the fuck's it called? Through the glacial trail, you know. But no. No, we gotta all the things. Well, what do you do about the mudslides? Well, maybe we don't build in fucking unstable areas where mudslide activity is fucking, historic to happen. Everything about the debate pissed me off, Farty. Everything about it pissed me off. I like the and I go back to this. The biggest fucking thing is the staff, the moderators that were there to quote unquote moderate the debate. No, they're not. They're to moderate how much of it I watch by pissing me off. That's what they are. Yeah, at least that one was fair. That one was fair uh to a greater degree because at least they did what they said they were going to do. They cut off the mics like they said they were going to do. They kept the format. They kept Trump on topic. They kept Biden on topic. And it was actually a fairly well-rounded, even as hostile as they were toward Trump, it was still a fair debate. Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with you that they probably did shoot themselves in the foot, but it was a fair debate and it was an even debate. Like it probably let me rephrase. It was an even debate for uh what was CNN. It was an even debate for CNN. And seeing them be not so biased was refreshing. Um yeah, that was great. That was fucking great. Um I'm I'm speaking. You remember that? I'm speaking. You could see the like there were a lot of points where looking at Kamala's body language like just made me kind of giggle inside because of the entire farce that was. Like and I'm sitting there and I'm watching her body language to see when she gets upset and to see when she's like just giggling because that's a nervous response, right? That laughter of hers is a nervous response. Anyone who has that problem will recognize that problem. I have that problem. I do nervous laughter all the fucking time. Um and that's really more so like I don't think it's funny. I'm just it's a reaction, right? It's like when people sneeze. It's an involuntary reaction for me because I'm nervous. Um, what's that? Yeah, yeah. There was definitely that tremble too. So what I was really more concerned with was her body language. Um, there were times where she gripped the podium. Did you? I don't know if you noticed that or not, but there were times she gripped the podium, and she did it in such a way her hands were purpling. Um, and she was visibly upset about Trump calling her out on things, which in turn got her to call to try and like I got you, you son of a bitch. What about this? Um, yeah, I don't know. All the giggles, all the head shaking, all the smiles that like she couldn't force because she was just so angry. All of it told me that she was not confident. Trump, on the other hand, he was just like angry the entire time and confident the entire time. Like he went into that for blood. And I think it's the only takeaway that I have on Trump's end. Like I think honestly he performed like dog shit during the debate. But that being said, he performed like dog shit because of the debate format, and not the debate format, but how they chose to enforce the debate format. Um, he performed like dog shit, and so did she. And um, people are gonna see this, debate, and they're gonna go, "Oh, Kamala won," and that's a fair way of looking at it if you're not paying attention to anything else. I don't know. I'm just pissed. I'm pissed, farty. Can you tell that I'm pissed? Have I mentioned that? Okay. What about the next topic? You ready for the next topic, farty? Or, hey, you there? Are you thinking about shit? All right. Well, if you need something, let me know. All right. Huh? You may as well laugh because at this point everything is bullshit. Um, it's all bullshit. Like we're talking about the debate, but in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. Why? Why doesn't it matter, Farty? Exactly. We're looking at World War III here, which is again a topic on the stream, and we're actually going to talk about it. So, what are the new? What are the new? We talked about it last week. We saw some posturing from Australia, with the B-2s being stationed in Australia by the United States. Um, Say again. Oh, I go? You want me to go? Okay, so we've seen the posturing. What was it last week? Um, and I've come to the realization that the when Australia begins to posture, we're far beyond the what's the word I want to look for? We're far beyond the diplomatic stage. There's no diplomacy at this point. It's just guess what? You're going to die. Mm-hmm. They're more of a sword than a shield.
Telemetry and guidance signals and shit like that that's going to come from some form of United States asset, either a fucking, a global hawk drone or a fucking, bloody AWACS or something like that,
Yeah.
got it onto its targets. And Putin's come out in the last day or so and said that if indeed that does start to happen, well, then he's going to consider that's an act of war. And it's an act of war between NATO because it's NATO directly targeting, like using those drones, giving targeting information and that kind of stuff to the drones itself. So they're controlling the fucking or the missiles or whatever going into Russia. So that's direct involvement, and he's going to consider that an act of war, as I said. And yeah, we're fucked.
Yeah.
And like I said, things are on a semi-automatic fucking sort of function at the moment, and so far cooler heads have prevailed. A few months ago, Ukraine went and tried to fucking attack a couple of long-range radar sets, and these are part of the strategic early warning blanket that Russia has. And it's things like that in a normal circumstance people will go, right, well, you're trying to blind us, and this is our fucking, we see the missiles over the horizon radar. And if you're going to try and blind us with this one, that can only mean that fucking some cunt's launching against us. So we better go and throw all of our toys out the pram before fucking someone fucking wipes us out while we can.
Yeah,
and it's
I'm sorry, dude, go ahead.
Instances like that. Yeah, it's instances like that that we're looking at right now, where Ukraine's becoming a fucking rogue state, and they need to be fucking cut off right away. And in almost the same fucking respect, we almost need to go into Ukraine and physically remove fucking Zelensky from power, because it's been, bloody 3 months now since he should have had an election, and then there was a sort of a grace time after he was supposed to have had an election where he's now no longer recognised as the fucking leader of Ukraine, which has already passed. So quite literally, he's a self-appointed dictator at this point in time.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why I reckon those bombers are there, is like we're about to start shit with Russia.
Oh, no, yeah. We started shit with Russia 3.5 years ago when fucking Potato Head got into fucking office.
As for ramping up, the last government that we had before the Laborites got in was the Scott Morrison Liberal government.
Mm.
And we have been ramping up ever since then, because China's been a fucking drama for a good long while, and it's only been since the Liberals got in that they started doing a lot of things like improving the military and all this kind of stuff. We had a big setback because of Afghanistan, because like with the United States military, fucking Biden just pulling the rug out from underneath everybody like that was very fucking disheartening for our blokes as well, especially considering that quite a few of them had done multiple tours, to the point where most of the blokes in fucking the SASR are too fucked to fight anymore.
Yeah.
Because they've many times they're all messed up and shit like that. But fucking everybody else has been more than once, and in a lot of cases more than 3 times, because they understood the fucking the job. And they agreed with it. They wanted to go back. They wanted to finish it. And they could see the difference every time they went back. And then fucking Potato comes along, hands it back to the Taliban, wastes every single fucking minute of their fucking time, wastes the lives and the meaning of the fucking blokes who died, and fucking basically fucking, sticks his fucking finger up at all the people who have lost limbs and fucking, bloody quality of life and all this kind of stuff from sustaining injuries from fucking IEDs and shit. And Potato fucking caused all of that shit to fucking just be worthless. So, we've been trying to build our military back up. We've also been trying to re-equip our military with newer fighting vehicles and air defense systems. We're buying Patriots and fucking LRASM missiles, I think. A few other bits and bobs. We're getting SM-6, I think. Standard Missile 6 for the Navy.
Yeah.
Don't do it. But so like even with nuclear attack submarines, the AUKUS deal, which I don't know whether we're ever going to get, because the Laborites are in and they fucking hate nuclear. So they're probably going to knock it back on that. But we are starting to get a couple of nuclear attack submarines starting to visit Fremantle, which is where they're supposed to be fucking based, which is near Perth in Western Australia.
Yeah.
That's the southern western corner of Australia, just to get them out of the road so they're not vulnerable to attack up in Darwin. So like that end of it's coming in, but like Labor could always fucking can at any time, without any reason.
Oh yeah, it doesn't take much. We're essentially looking at a landscape where, okay, NATO fires these missiles, they fire rockets, they do whatever they're gonna do, and they do this long drawn out fucking launch, and it takes like 15-20 minutes for some of these missiles to hit. I gotta sneeze.
Depends on where they're fired.
Yeah. But it takes a while for these to hit, and they're looking at full-scale assault from the projections I've seen from NATO sources on Twitter saying this is how we're going to launch our rockets. And they're talking about wiping out the entire fucking country, mind you. They're talking about wiping out the entire everyone in Russia, innocents, fucking civilians, doesn't matter. They're going after everybody. And this is going to trigger fucking China to step in. It's going to trigger the UAE to step in. The UAE is going to back, and we're talking about all of the BRICS countries. All of them. We're talking all of the UAE. The UAE, right now, hasn't really been raping us too much on fucking oil barrels, but it will happen very soon. We're talking, I'm thinking by the end of this month, by the start of October, everything is going to start to fucking fall apart right in front of our eyes. Everything. And
well, now they're running out of time to finally put the coup de grace in America, so there's no comeback, and BRICS can succeed.
Yeah. But we're talking about let's launch these missiles. Let's launch these rockets. Let's launch all of these weapons of mass destruction at Russia. Eliminate everything. Right? Take out everything. And then, well, China's going to get involved. UAE is going to get involved because now they're, backing, they're backing Russia. You've got fucking North Korea backing Russia, and they're going to retaliate. And what do you think China...
Well, UAE doesn't have any nukes.
They don't need nukes.
It's Iran, I think you're more talking about. But
like I said, they don't need nukes. They just need to retaliate. Like even regular bombs will do the job.
Well, yeah, and that's exactly the reason why fucking Israel, as soon as everybody's fucking launching nukes, they're going to throw all their toys out the pram and turn the Middle East into a giant glass lake, because they know that as soon as their backers, the Yanks and the Europeans, are all fucked through nuclear warfare, that they're on their own with the rest of the Middle East, and everyone's going to dogpile them.
Well,
so no option.
Yeah, like literally, we're talking day one. Biden walks into office and starts all these fucking conflicts.
Yep.
He walks into office day one, and I don't care who says what. He started these conflicts day fucking one. He started the sanctions with Russia, like the asshole sanctions with Russia, and just we don't want to talk to Russia. Okay, fine. We don't want to talk to Russia. Oh, okay. Well, we're not going to talk to China, but we're talking to China in secret. We don't want to talk to fucking North Korea, because fuck North Korea. They can't do anything for us. We're still talking to China in secret, because China can still provide shit for us. And basically everything in the world is made in fucking China now.
Well, the whole thing with Korea, right, is that fucking, now this will piss you off, because like we're all still fucking paying for this.
Mm-hmm.
South Korea is still classed as a fucking third world nation, and we're still giving them fucking all this fucking foreign aid and shit like that. So we're literally propping them cunts up in their lifestyle. If you have a look at them, they're nowhere near a third world fucking nation. They're actually more of a first world nation than most of us.
Yeah,
so so while the fucking the Korean War is still pretty much officially still going on, just as a cold sort of war, not a hot war, fucking has been going on for 70 years. It never actually ended. While that's happening and the United Nations is involved, they're getting all these bloody handouts and shit in the massive fucking gravy train. Now, fucking Trump goes over there and he starts talking to UN. But next thing you know, UN's going to the fucking Olympics and fucking, they're inviting the South up for fucking this, that, and the other thing. And the military parade's a lot more subdued than fucking normal, which is usually an internationally recognised sign that the more guns that are there, the more pissed off he is. The less big guns that are there, the better in mood he's in, kind of thing. So he's in a really great mood and all this. Then all of a sudden, the fucking South realises, as soon as Trump turns his back on the place, goes, oh, fucking hang on a minute. If this war ends, right, there goes the fucking United Nations and all this lovely money they're giving us.
Yeah.
hey, fuck you. And Un's just like, okay, fuck you. It's Chosin and Busan. Fuck you. No reunification for you. Fuck you.
Yeah, there's no chance at Korea reuniting at this point. It's almost a century later.
I say fuck them.
Yeah. Just let them be their own country. Fuck it.
Pull the United Nations out, pull the money out, fuck them. Let them sit on their own. They think they're that good, fuck them. Let them prove it.
Oh, they'll get aid from China. They'll definitely get aid from China because they're in fucking bed together.
South Korea, not the North.
Oh, South Korea? Oh, okay, yeah, South Korea now.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking to North Korea still, but
South Korea is carrying on a bit like fucking the Israelis in the fucking Middle East. Like, years and years and years have gone by with the fucking PLO, Palestinian Liberation Organization under Yasser Arafat. Fucking, they started blowing shit up, and then Yasser Arafat figured maybe we should try the political shit. And then when he died, the fucking idiot Israelis, instead of fucking, being gentlemen and all this kind of shit about it, went, ding dong, the witch is dead. So the Palestinians were like, well, fucking, what a bunch of disrespecting cocksuckers these fucking Israelis are. Like, we tried blowing them up, and that didn't work, so we tried fucking talking to them. Well, that didn't work, so fuck it, let's go back to blowing the cunts up.
Yeah, that's definitely...
Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely is shit that happens all the time, though.
Yeah, the cunts are their own worst fucking enemy, and now it's a case of fucking, bloody, instead of fucking doing the right thing and fucking, talking to the North, the South just went, no, go suck a dick, cunt. No, we're getting too much money to fucking be friends with you.
Yeah.
Because they probably realise too that if they do reunify and United Nations pulls out, we're going to expect the South Koreans to fund the North rebuild, the rehabilitation shit. And that's probably what they don't want to do either. They don't want to fucking pay for it. They want us to pay for that as well.
Yeah.
Fucking dude, cunt.
But back to my train of thought here is that they target Russia. They knock out every fucking town, or at least they start doing that. China's getting it. China gets involved. Fucking North Korea gets involved. The UAE gets involved. Some African nations get involved because they're in bed with the fucking same thing. You've got other countries that'll get involved, and it's just the whole thing is a mess. The whole thing is just what was it? Was it Turkey? I read would be involved with Russia. If not Turkey, the country adjacent to Turkey. I forgot what the fuck they were. What it was called. They'd get involved and side with fucking Russia and China and shit. And
well, Turkey's a three-way fucking thing, right?
Yeah.
They buy shit off Russia, but they're also a NATO country. They're also one of the NATO countries we don't really want in NATO because they're a bunch of belligerent fucks. But because they're also an Islamic country, they got to do what the Islamics want them to do too, and not try and piss the Islamics off.
Yeah.
So that puts us heads with fucking NATO. But also, while they're buying stuff off Russia, that also puts them at loggerheads of what they can buy off NATO. So take the F-35, for example. Turkey's actually been banned from buying it because they bought the S-300 or the S-400 system off Russia. Mm-hmm. The S-4 and 500 systems are basically sort of kind of designed to take out things like the F-35, and well, that's a bit of a security risk having the fighter plane on the same base as the possible technicians working on the radar system designed to look for these fucking aircraft. You don't want to give them fucking samples they can test on. Well, that's a bit of a dumb fucking idea. Which actually sort of segues to fucking Thailand, because Thailand were looking at updating their Air Force, and they already got some Saab Gripen, JS-39 Saab Gripen, and these are fucking really good aircraft for what Thailand actually needs. They don't need very much range. They don't need very much in the way of massive weapon capacity because they're not really projecting sort of military. They're a defense force effectively. And so you only need something that can get up, shoot a few missiles, maybe drop a few bombs and stuff like that. And the Jazz 39's fucking perfect for that. And in an Air Force like Thailand, another party trick is that the Gripen also is designed to last 3 times longer between services, because being a Swedish aircraft, and if the Russians ever attack, they're like right on the fucking doorstep of Sweden straight away. So they're expecting all their airfields and shit to be blown up the fuck. So they're going to be running these things off highways and things. So they're expecting that like all the resources aren't going to be there for an extended period of time to make the plane last a lot longer. It's compatible with just about every Western weapon you can think of, except for the French, because the French like to be fucked with. It's got a decent radar. It's got a decent electronic warfare package in it, and basically it's as good as a fucking F-35, but just without the fucking expensive airframe. And these things are far fucking cheaper than the F-35 as well. They've got far cheaper running costs. And like I said, they're just far more suited to a poor-ass Air Force like fucking Thailand. The fucking potato, Joe goes and convinces them to ruin their GDP by buying a bunch of F-35s, which have like fucking half the fucking time between bloody maintenance than most other fucking aircraft. They can't do their full speed lest they strip all their fucking paint off. They can't break the speed of bloody sound because they'll chip the paint and that'll ruin the stealth. So they got to fly at fucking subsonic speeds all the time. Like, they're limited in what G's they can fucking turn, because like the pilot will get knocked out. They can't climb, they can't turn, they can't burn, they can't fucking fight. And when all else fails, they can't fucking run away. They got shit all range. They got fucking fuck all weapon carrying capacity. Like I said, they're slow as fuck. And yeah, they're just pieces of bloody shit, and they're fucking stupid, fucking expensive, insanely eye-wateringly expensive to buy, to maintain. And fucking when I can see fucking most of Thailand's Air Force being down to 2 fucking aircraft, and all the other 35s are in fucking bits, fucking being cannibal for parts. Now, that's not really the big fucking deal there. It takes 2 to tango, and, the fucking Sheila just doesn't fall on the dick and bounce up and down, by accident.
By accident. That's what we're calling it.
Yeah. So Thailand did fucking say yes to this, and they signed the forms and they're handing over the cash for it. So, they're fucking dumb enough to do that. Well, that's, kind of on them. But as soon as that happened, China goes fucking, oh, yeah, hey, Thailand, would you like a couple of fucking ex-Chinese Navy submarines?
Yes.
And Thailand's like, but we haven't had a submariner service in like 53 years. And China's like, not a problem, Mac. We can send some people down and train you up and all this kind of stuff. And effectively what's going to happen there is that they're going to possibly even have to build some port services for this submarine. While that's happening, there's going to be a little shanty village that's going to grow around this base, which is everyone's going to be fucking persecuting the locals and all this kind of shit and pissing everybody off. But ultimately, the goal will be that some officer will rock up after these F-35s have been delivered, and he'll get in the car and go to the air base and get all chummy with somebody up there with rank and go, hey, any chance I could take in you fangle fucking bloody handy-dandy aircraft for a spin, mate? Mm-hmm. And any chance I could piss off home with it for the weekend? Of course, the tires would be all sort of like, yeah, why not? Fuck it, what's the big deal?
Yeah, why not?
Get them over one.
Shit, I wanted to say something about this. My brain just shut off, Farty. I'm sorry. I wanted to say something about this, and then I'm just...
I forgot where I started with that.
Yeah, I forgot too. I was just kind of going along with it. Do you want to get onto the NATO bullshit? Or do you think we well covered it?
I kind of covered it.
So let's go over to Poland. Poland is asking our politicians and our ambassadors to fuck off. I never thought I'd see the day when Poland is just like telling the United States to fuck off. And I'm applauding Poland. As an American citizen, I am applauding Poland. thank you for fucking taking a stand against us.
Well, that's another thing there too, which is a bit concerning with BRICS and all that kind of stuff, because a lot of countries are telling you to fuck off and take your bases and piss off out of the country.
Yeah.
A lot of countries that fucking 4 years ago wouldn't have had the testicular fortitude to open their fucking mouth in public, let alone tell you to bugger off, but here they are.
Oh, yeah. Talking about Poland telling us to leave.
Oh, yeah. I can see why that's the case, too. And this has got a lot to do.
It's because we're bringing World War III to Poland's doorstep.
Exactly. And if you have a look at everything, too, they've been having a pretty shit time over this because they've had to fucking stop their grain haul to go and facilitate Ukraine's grain haul to pay for the fucking war.
Mm-hmm.
It ended up being fucking rancid and fucking mouldy, which no one wanted and couldn't sell anyways. But fucking because everyone had already been forced to buy this shit and pay a premium for it, they've gone and used up all their reserve money just trying to do the right thing by fucking Ukraine. And if Ukraine to fuck them over with shit they can't use,
yeah.
So now all the money's gone, and Poland was left with like this entire fucking grain haul that no one could fucking buy, no one was going to use, and all this and that. To watch that fucking sit there go rancid and mouldy too. Then there's a whole bunch of other shit that was happening, like Zelensky fired a fucking missile into fucking Ukraine and blew up a farmer on his tractor. Still swears blind it was Russia, but like everyone can see, like just from the distance and the type of missile that it could not have come from any Russian territory, just did not have the range for it. It came from Ukraine because it was a Ukrainian missile, and yes, they have those missiles.
Yeah.
There's been a few other bits and bobs too, and about a year or so ago, fucking Zelensky was fucking complaining to the Poles that they weren't doing enough and all this kind of shit. And then Poland went, all right, fine. All that money and shit we've been loaning you for this whole time, we want it all back right fucking now. Yeah. And Zelensky shut the fuck up because he'd have to admit that like Ukraine had been bankrupt since like 5 minutes after the war had started. Which is no shit. They've been bankrupt the whole time. They can't pay back fucking nothing.
Yeah.
All this shit giving in a black hole. It's going fucking, it's just fucking, we're throwing it away.
It's hilarious because every country's in debt right now.
Yeah.
And every country's in debt about the same amount.
Yep.
So here's my ask. Here's my ask, Farty. I know I'm going to go back to the World War III topic. Here's my ask. Let's say they don't fire off nuclear weapons, and it's a long, drawn-out, protracted war, and we're just seeing, like, regular bombs dropped. We're seeing napalm and shit dropped in cities, and this, that, the other thing. Let's say that is the case. Do you think we're going to come out of this war, and it'll be another depression, like, right away?
We probably won't find out.
You don't think so?
Because even if it was a conventional war, the Chinese outnumber us like fucking like 20 to 1.
Yeah.
They take us by numbers alone.
Oh, yeah.
And even then, too, right, I think it'd probably be we'll just get walked all over for the simple reason that, like, China could very well just sail a container ship down the fucking east coast of Australia and just launch fucking bloody masses upon masses upon masses upon masses of fucking drones. They're all like autonomous and like, during the night, they just keep fucking running into houses until the house doesn't look like a house anymore.
Yeah.
And
all they need to do is put little tiny bombs on those drones. Enough plastic to fucking blow up a house.
Not even that. You only need like a couple of maybe a kilo or two. Because you take out cars with it, you take out fucking people with it. And like, you start running it into multiple windows on houses, and they keep just attacking the house so the house doesn't look like a house anymore.
Yeah.
And they can do this effortlessly and they can do this on fucking mass and there wouldn't be very much that we could do about it. So they could wipe out pretty much the entirety of the population of Australia in one fucking night, at least on one side of the eastern seaboard.
At least one side, yeah.
Yeah, and there's Australia completely out of the game straight away. They could do that to the east and west seaboards of the United States as well.
Well, I see China taking a more precise approach. I see China not going after the population because, let's face it, China loves its population, as evidenced by like the 4 billion people that live in the fucking country. and
Well,
they look at
moment,
populations, and I see them just, you know, masking their fucking drones a certain way. Maybe not all of
well,
them, you know.
they don't actually like their population, and they're actually in a massive problem at the moment because of the one-child policy and the preference on males.
Yeah,
There's
it's
a
been
massive
declining.
epidemic of blokes out there, not enough Sheilas, but there's also too many old cunts and not enough people to look after them
Yeah,
anymore.
their population's been declining, and they're gonna need to replace that population somehow.
But they also don't want the population they got now because the population is mostly bloody useless old people
Yeah,
that are actually now becoming a fucking burden. And there's no welfare state over there too, so they're kind of looking like big cunts to the rest of the world by fucking letting all these old people starve and waste away and all this kind of shit. But
yeah,
they can't really afford to fucking fund all those people with pensions anyway because there's too many of them.
yeah. No, I'm right there with you. But they're gonna need to replace their population somehow. How do they do that? They send everyone they have to war. They send everyone they have onto the shores somewhere. Um, and then
Thinking the
they
fucking worst part to it too because it was only really killing off old cunts at the beginning of it. I'm like, there's China's way of getting rid of that population.
yeah, and then what's left? They'll fucking scoop up POWs, and I firmly believe they're gonna scoop up POWs, and they're gonna take these POWs, and they're just gonna go, you and this person are gonna reproduce, and you and this person are gonna reproduce, and you're gonna give off fucking 35 babies for this one guy, and that's gonna be that. That's what that I could see China doing that, and I know it
Well, this is
sounds
the
fucking out there. It sounds tinfoil hat, but that's what I see happening.
No, well, this is the reason why they'll just get rid of our population, the population of the United States, and all this kind of stuff, because you can't subjugate a population anymore. We've proven this since Vietnam in several different wars that
Right.
the population will cause you lots of dramas, and even for fucking superpowers, it's enough to fucking cripple them. Fucking, that's mainly the reason why Russia doesn't want to take the entirety of Ukraine. They just want a buffer zone around the ethnic Russian-speaking parts because they know they'd never be able to subjugate the rest of Ukraine. It'll just cost them a fortune. They'll just have another Afghanistan. So China doesn't have to worry about fucking Australians being a fucking pain in their ass and shit like that. But what they do want is they want more land and resources.
Right.
And like I keep trying to tell everybody is that we have every single fucking resource on the planet in massive abundance. And it's only protected by two cunts, a pistol and a push bike at the moment, effectively. And China doesn't really want to pay for it anymore, and they can literally just walk in and take it off us. And this is part of the reason with the Belt and Road Initiative is that debt trap diplomacy is literally just stealing resources off other countries. And that's what with Guinea, when they had their fucking coup a couple of years ago, that was all because the bloke who was running the place, Alpha Conde, was about to sign over all the fucking Guinea's bauxite resources over to fucking China for the payment of a train line and a fucking deep water port that they'll end up having to pay for anyways. Because China was going to renege on the deal. And effectively what was going to happen there was they'll build a train line, build a deep water port, and this was supposed to be jobs for the locals, but of course that will never eventuate, and of course that's designed to piss the locals off. So that's an excuse to bring in PLA police or PLA troops
Yeah.
to quell any violence and all this. And of course the fisheries are going to come in and start fishing out the coast. It's going to piss the fishermen off, which means the PLA Navy has to come in to quell these local pirates who are just locals who are just pissed off they can't earn a living anymore,
Right.
which is what they were doing in Sierra Leone down south fucking 15 years ago. And we chased them out of there. But fucking all of this military intervention and all this kind of stuff is going to be added to the bill. And the whole idea is that the bill is going to be way too much that the country is ever going to be able to fucking pay for. But they're only going to find this out once it's far too late. The place is full of PLA fucking troops, and you can't fucking kick them out. Now they're demanding all this money up front, and then what are you going to do? Well, we can't pay. So they'll just go, oh, well, all that yummy bauxite, we'll just take that as payment. And that's how they take the country's entire resources without forking over a cent.
Yeah.
Fuck it. And that's what they want to do to us because we've got everything. They've already taken large swathes of the fucking the Immel belt and the wheat belt and all that kind of stuff over in the States. And if they can get rid of you, cunts, and take all your fucking land, well, you got shit tons of fucking resources like iron ore and fucking coal and bloody uranium and fucking all sorts of shit they'd want too.
Yeah.
Plenty other places in the rest of the world that they can fucking sell to and become developed countries and, you know, rip them off and all this kind of stuff because they don't really care about everybody else. All the black fellas over in Africa are slaves as far as they're concerned. They think Australians are scum on the sole of their shoes. So what do you think they think of the Abos?
Oh yeah. They're gonna get fucking stomped into a mud hole and then walk dry.
And the funniest part about it, right, was that last year we had a referendum on Aboriginal rights and shit like that. It was basically just an excuse for them to try and usurp power without actually being any qualification for it. But anyway, fucking a lot of the people who were voting, like, who were in the Yes campaign, were all these communist cocksuckers who think that fucking the Chinese are the ants pants and us colonial fucks can just get the fuck out of the country and all this kind of shit. And I'm thinking, you stupid fucking bum cunts, you're just gonna fucking vote yourselves into fucking subjugation like a bunch of dumb cunts.
Oh no. I think the word you're looking for is extermination.
Yeah, most likely extermination when they figure out that the Aborigines are too unruly to be fucking controlled.
Yeah. You know, it's weird how everything is so intertwined right now that we started the discussion on Poland and we went right back to China because of how fucked things are.
Well, this is what I was trying to tell you guys
Yeah.
fucking way back fucking before Biden got in, and that is fucking like you Yanks might get the choice in the matter on who you actually vote for. You know, that's all well and good, right? That's your right and all that kind of stuff. But you need to consider that if you vote for the person that we don't like for the rest of the world, that is, then we'll all just refuse to fucking work with you until such as the stages we'll get someone that we do like. And you have a look at BRICS, and that's exactly what's happened. Countries are jumping ship, and you know they're reneging on fucking sovereign debt they owe you guys, which, like I said, was effectively you're getting your renters to pay your mortgage off.
Yeah, and that's why every country is in massive fucking debt right now. I think the U.S. leads the world in debt, though. I think the U.S. is like what, $30 billion in debt right now. 30 billion
Trillion,
with a B.
no T.
Oh, we're in
It's fucking
trillion now. Right. We're in trillion now.
Yeah.
Sorry, I fucking forgot. We were like 30 billion before Potato took over. Now we're fucking.
No. You were $15 trillion under Trump, which was incurred over
Still in
since
trillions?
like 1970 something rather when Nixon turned us over to a fiat currency, right? Over all that time, all those presidents have only managed to get it up to $15 trillion. In the last 3 fucking years, it's doubled.
Yeah.
That's in 3 years alone. Now, because you've been printing off so much fucking money and the inflation has gotten that fucking high, because everybody's fucking money is tied to the petrodollar, because your fucking money's been devalued, that's devalued everybody else's and it's caused everybody else's inflation too.
This is a point that I want to. This reminds me of something I want to say before we continue on, because people are voting with their emotions now. I know someone who's voting for Kamala because they felt personally assaulted by JD Vance. They felt personally attacked by JD Vance, by whatever the fuck he said, because he's Republican. He's gonna say things I don't agree with. Blah blah blah, that kind of bullshit. And we are in this mess. We are in this mess because people are essentially thinking with their dicks.
Yep, all vaginas.
Yeah, and they're, oh well, I feel like that. No, dude, you gotta put your fucking emotions aside and think about the fucking cold hard raw truth of things. You can't go into the voting booth going, oh well, you know, we're going to be, you know, voting to firebomb ourselves, essentially, if we vote for this candidate. Or at the very least, voting to be put in more debt, right? Seeing the historical policies that one party has put in over the other, right? Seeing and going along with it, and seeing the fucking, okay, well, we're doing this, that, and the other thing, and the quality of life is just fucking shot down. It's been a race to the bottom for quality of life, because every fucking state, every fucking city that votes blue is an absolute shithole. The states and the cities that vote red, they tend to be a little bit better. Okay? Maybe sometimes not by much. Maybe sometimes by leaps and fucking bounds, because of the approach they have taken. And now we're in this fucking this limbo where people are voting with their emotions, and they're going, "Oh, well, I'd rather, be in, live in a police state, because, and then I'd rather have the one thing happen because, I want to feel good about who I'm voting for. I don't want to take responsibility for shit's going bad. How do we fix this thing? Do we say, okay, well, I put my feelings aside and think logically, even though I'm gonna feel bad about, something that someone said as a throwaway comment on the campaign trail? Or am I just gonna fucking go the other way because I took that thing they said on the campaign trail to heart? And I'm fucking tired of people voting that way.
I believe that fucking the reason why the Democrats treat everybody like they're fucking stupid is because their voters are in fact just fucking stupid.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of people who are Kamala supporters or Democrats and stuff like that like to fucking argue with people who are just clearly so fucking superior in intellect on the subject than they are is fucking uncanny. But going back to that fucking argument with that Sheila about fucking camel toe the other week, like,
Yeah.
I'm standing there in a camouflage jacket, and I'm like, pretty renowned for being a bit militaristic and all this kind of shit. And I'm talking about the geostrategic situation, what camel toe is going to do, and she's arguing with me over it. How in the fucking hell would you even know the first fucking thing about this bloody subject, and how fucking dare you argue with me about it? Like, that's just fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Especially, too, when a lot of the arguments is just saying the opposite to what I am, just for the sake of saying the opposite.
Yeah, it just disgusts me.
And then you have a look at, like, going back to, like, the statements and whatnot, the good people on both sides and the things like that, fucking, they'll just listen to it and they won't check it up themselves because they're too fucking stupid to do that. It never fucking occurs to them because, well, fucking, you need a brain to do that kind of shit,
You have a fucking computer in your pocket.
Yeah.
A computer that is, and I need to remind people, a computer that is more powerful than the shit we used to connect to the internet with in the fucking 90s. All right? In 95, when we started, 95 to 97, when people started getting online, all the way up into the 2000s, when people were still, when the internet was still essentially in its infancy, and this is what people don't fucking realize, is that when the internet was still in its infancy, we're talking the fastest chip the fastest processor in 2000. Let me look it up here. It was an Intel chip. Intel chips available in 2000. List of processors. Here we go. In the year 2000, as soon as I can fucking find the release date.
Yeah, the Pentium.
Yeah, it was a Pentium. It was a Pentium 2, I think.
Like a 95, 96.
I'm just talking about in 2000.
Yeah.
Control F.
Yeah, but the 2000s, wasn't they?
Year 2000. Introduced in 82. No, 79. I'm looking it up right now. Sorry, give me a second here. We're not even at 1 gig. All right, the fastest chip released in the year 2000 was on January 4th. and it used the 25 nanometer process technology. It was 533 megahertz. 533 megahertz. We're not talking gigahertz. We're talking megahertz. Okay? For context. Huh?
Nothing.
Oh, I thought you said something. For context. Your standard processor, your standard 4-core processor now, one core is about 4 times faster than that. That's just one core.
Yeah, well, that was back in the days when you were trying to get a bit of porn, and you could only get images, and fucking it'd take forever to fucking actually show up because it'd be like line by line by line by line by line.
Well, yeah, with dial-up, yeah.
Yeah.
But even when what's it called? Even when cable started becoming a thing here in the States, that was about 5 years later. And about 5 years later, we're talking the Pentium Pro, not Pentium Pro. We're talking Pentium Duo, I want to say. Let me look this up because I don't want to fucking get this wrong. 2001, 2002. Let's go to 2005. 2005, you had the Smithville Pentium D. Pentium D was in 2005. And that was leaps and bounds. That was 5 years later. Leaps and bounds. We're talking over 4 times faster. The base clock speed of it it was a dual core processor, so it had 2 cores that ran at 2.66 gigahertz. So about what? A little over 5.5 times faster?
You might want me to do fucking math?
Yes, do math. No, so it's about 5 times faster, a little more than 5 times faster. And then later on, the next year, there was another jump to 2.8, almost 3 gigahertz, which was, again, 6 years later from 2000, right? 6 years later, we're looking at nearly 8 times faster for one core. And now we have things that are exponentially faster. With with 8 times 12, 36 fucking I think I saw a processor with like 140 something cores. Right? All running at like 6 gigahertz. That's a huge monumental leap in technology in 30 years. And not even 30 years. We're talking 25 years. Right? From 2000 to 2004, fucking a quarter century. And look at the advances we've made, right? In a quarter century. Doesn't seem like a lot, does it?
Well, consider this, and I brought this up back when Dodge's World War One stream. With aviation, for example, so in 1910 you got the Wright brothers, first powered flight. And then by 1918, you've got, sophisticated biplanes with interrupter gears and, some fairly decent performance compared to what they were at the beginning of the war only 4 years earlier.
Right.
And then by the beginning of World War Two, only 20 years later, you've got metal skin monoplanes and speeds reaching up like 400-500 fucking mile an hour.
Yeah.
By 4 years later, you've got jets. Okay, and then bloody 10 years after 15 years after World War Two, they're breaking the sound barrier, and then they're breaking Mach 2 by the beginning of the 60s, and by the end of the 60s, they're on the moon.
Yeah.
Have a look at that for fucking technological leaps and bounds.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I'm right there with you, dude. Like I'm sitting there and I'm just like, fuck, dude. And yet the jet engine has largely gone unchanged in that time. But what has changed is like everything else. It's crazy. The entire thing is crazy. We've made so many leaps and bounds technologically wise that when you look back and go, well, the technology we had back then when we were connecting to the fucking internet, in 2001 was was leaps and bounds more primitive than what we're using now. And like um I still have an old AMD setup that is like a 600 megahertz processor, single core processor. And I still have one, and I have it because Windows 98. I was gonna say XP, but no, Windows 98. I still have one for Windows 98, and so I can play like older shit on it, right? But I forgot where I was going with this. Fuck my brain. We got off topic, didn't we, Farty?
Yeah. No. Well, what the fuck was we talking about in the first place?
Yeah, that's why I said like my brain is done. I don't know where we are. Do you just want to go to the next topic?
Yeah.
All right. What's going on in Ohio, Farty? Why don't you tell us what's going on in Ohio?
Fucking all the cats, ducks, and dogs are fucking becoming Trump supporters.
Yeah. That would be a relatively simplistic way to look at it.
Because the hordes of fucking Haitians are coming to eat the kitties.
Yeah. And it's not even that they're eating it because of their race. I want people to understand this is not racial, this is cultural. And there's a huge world of fucking difference. Culture and race are two entirely different things. You can have someone of a different cultural background living in a racial background, right? And then you can have someone in a racial background who is different from that racial background, still living in that cultural background. So it can go both ways, right? They're not mutually exclusive. So I want everyone to understand that where I'm going with this is not, a place of hate. This is a place of understanding. And if you don't understand the difference, then you are the problem. Now, I grew up in New York, okay? I think I've made that pretty clear on a few occasions. I grew up in the state of New York. I grew up in an area that was very racially and culturally divided, okay? We're talking entire towns divided on race and on culture. And sometimes exclusively on culture, sometimes exclusively on race. Sometimes it's mixed. But the area I grew up in was in a place called Rockland County, and within the confines of Rockland County, I grew up in a town called Spring Valley, and Spring Valley was predominantly Hispanic and black uh, residents. That's the word I want to use. And the next town over is a town called Haverstraw, and Haverstraw had a lot of Jewish population, and then there was another town that had a lot of Haitian population, and even in the town I lived in, there was still quite a bit of Haitian population. Um, and when and this is the story this is from my youth, this is from my personal experience, and I want you guys to understand where I'm coming from when I say this. I was invited to a friend's house one day, and none of our other schoolmates would go. I was invited to a friend's house one day, and I was able to finally, get to his house, hang out with him. They were having a barbecue. And during the barbecue, my friend's uncle, who was Haitian. He was a Haitian national. And he was wild. Like, I don't mean like in the jungles, fucking Tarzan style. I mean, he was fucking questionable, alright? Questionable. There was a fucking barbecue that us kids were at, and he casually snatches a fucking raccoon, right? And grabs it, screaming and chittering and kicking and like just swinging around, and he's got it by its fucking scruff. And he slams it on a table and grabs a fucking machete that he kept in a holster and fucking lops the damn thing's head off right in front of me and this other kid. And then fucking goes and skins and guts the thing right fucking then and there. And this is my personal experience, okay? And this guy was from Haiti. And I fucking threw up. I threw up in fucking disgust, in fear, because you don't know. Like, if he's willing to do that to a fucking raccoon, what is he going to do to me? So me and my friend, we fucking book it. And the guys, his parents, like, find us later on in the day and like, why are you doing that? You know, why did you run away like that? We explain the situation. Oh, they do that all the time. It happens all the time in Haiti. You just get whatever you can. And they do that because they're fucking starving in the streets in Haiti. Okay? There is the big point. They're starving in the streets in Haiti because their government doesn't... Their government has fallen apart. And it is a...
Countries.
What?
Whole country's falling apart.
Yeah. And that's because their government is just shit. They have no infrastructure anymore. Like, housing is fucking difficult. They eat whatever they can find. And to them, it's no big deal to snatch a fucking cat or a dog or a duck and butcher it right then and there and clean it right then and there.
Mainly Clinton, that was a fucking problem for that one. She was foreign secretary or something like that, Secretary of State when they were having their last round of fucking problems. He's like, oh, we're going to help you. And they didn't lift a fucking finger for them. They've been fucked ever since.
Right. But here's the problem. They're coming, you know, they're being brought in. They're being brought in. Where we have evidence all over fucking TikTok, all over Twitter. We have evidence that they're...
I wanted to say, that's what I wanted to say that too, is that fucking... My opinion's not coming from what Trump said in the debate. I told fucking Frank about this before the debate even bloody happened.
Yeah. But we have evidence that they're being bussed in, that they're being flown in, that they're being transported in. And these immigrants are being transported in illegally. They're being pulled in illegally by our government, right? What does that tell? What does that tell you about where we're headed? If World War III doesn't happen, and they do get into office, and they do all of these crazy fucking bullshit things that they have kept doing, and taking on the world's garbage, and and then allowing terrorists, allowing criminals in. Where do you think we're gonna be? Yeah, these fucking Argentina right now has got the lowest crime. It's reporting the lowest crime rate in fucking history, which is statistics you can look up on Google right fucking now. Right? You can look that shit up right now. And they've got the lowest crime rate in history. Why? Because they're in every fucking else in the world. The criminals have left for greener pastures.
You see, this is another thing that we were trying to tell you guys, and like the funniest part about it is that fucking like we keep voting into fucking Labor rights, and they keep fucking letting the bloody boats back in. We've had a staggering amount of people coming in now too, which nowhere near what you guys have had. But like, you know, considering where we've been in the past and where we are now, with like, there should still be a fucking zero.
Yeah.
But like, when we stopped the boats, it was because we were getting all the riffraff and all the scum, and like they were coming in, like they were getting in within the eyesight of an Australian naval vessel, and in some cases they were even calling Canberra and saying like, we're here and we can see your navy ship. Tell them all to start looking around, and then as soon as the navy ship gets starts coming towards them, and they know that they're going to get picked up or at least intercepted, they scuttle the boats and they throw everybody's IDs overboard, so nobody knows who's on the fucking boat. And now because they're scuttling the boat's sinking. Now it's a rescue, and we have to fucking pick them up. Once we get them on our boat, well, now they're our fucking problem.
Yeah.
So what we ended up doing was we got all these fucking emergency lifeboats, and we pick them up at sea, we put them in these lifeboats, and we started sending them back to Indonesia. And all of a sudden, the Indonesians are all like, hang on a minute, no, fucking, we're only letting them come into our territory because they're already passing through. We didn't want them. So they fucking started throwing them back the way that they came. And then the Indians with the same fucking thing. It's like, hang on a minute, we're only letting these cunts come through because they're going to Australia. What's this shit? We don't want them back. And so we were threatening for ages that, like, we were just going to do that. You're not coming in. We're not going to put you in an offshore detention centre. We're not going to process you. We're just going to stick you in a boat and send you back to Indonesia. And then you're their fucking problem. All of a sudden, Indonesia could find the Navy ships to patrol those waters and stuff like that they claimed they never had beforehand. So that was a lie. And the instant that, like, yeah, we know shit started doing that, and like the day the fucking gate shut pretty much, the next day they were ready to go across the Mediterranean into Europe. And in the meantime, all these Europeans are calling us a bunch of racist cunts and fucking heartless assholes and all this kind of shit because they had no fucking clue what we were fucking putting up with. And fucking the stupid fucking assholes sitting there with no fucking idea, thinking they could do a better bloody job when they're nowhere near as hardcore rough and tumble as what we fucking are. Hell, we had to go and fucking save most of their fucking continent twice in the last fucking century alone for them. But, like, if we're having fucking problems with them and all this kind of stuff, what the fuck do you think you stupid poof the pansy, weak, limp-wristed fucking fairy pinko fucking Europeans are going to fucking do with your fucking all peace and love and mung bean fucking hippie fucking nonsense bullshit? So sure as shit, they, instead of just congregating just the other side of the Mediterranean on the coast and shit, like, while we're out of the Middle East, that's all we really wanted. Nah, they're making beelines to Sweden and Switzerland and fucking Scandinavia and fucking the Netherlands and all these fucking like sanctuary city kind of fucking places,
Yeah.
No guns, the police are fucking pussy whipped, all the women are defenseless, there's absolutely no fucking, masculinity in the men. And all these fucking males of fighting age came over from the Middle East and were raping women left, right, and centre and shit. And of course, the politicians and stuff are too busy trying to fucking cover for the fact that they've just called us a bunch of assholes. And instead of fucking saying, oh shit, the Aussies were right, they were fucking covering shit up like the rape of Cologne and all this kind of stuff where fucking, Muslim migrants are running through fucking Cologne just raping women willy-nilly in groups and stuff like that. And the cops couldn't do fucking shit. In fact, they tried fucking covering it up and shit like that because it was too embarrassing for them. So now the Europeans are figuring this shit out and they don't really want them anymore. It's now your fucking turn. And, you got half the fucking cunts in the country at first going, oh, these poor little hard done boys. And it was only realistically the fucking border towns and stuff like that that had to put up with this shit to begin with, who realistically knew what was happening. And fucking, they had to fucking sit there and suffer with it because every other cunt who's got nothing to fucking do with it doesn't know what the fuck's going on, sitting there going, oh, but no, we can do a better job and we're all this and we're all that. And it's like, no, you can't. It just doesn't work like that. And of course, it's probably also the same kind of cunts who are calling us a bunch of fucking assholes before, but now they're going to learn. They're either going to learn.
Complain about people being heartless because, no, you're trying to just fucking save face, dude.
Yeah. They're either going to learn when fucking it becomes too fucking overwhelmingly obvious for them to deny it anymore, or when one of their loved ones or themselves gets fucking hurt, raped, killed, or murdered.
Yeah.
That's when they go.
It's a vibe check. That's what it is.
Yep.
And no one's passing it. Because you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Like, even after everything that we've done too, we've still got fuckwit idiots in fucking Melbourne who seem to think that fucking, like, it's against the law for us to fucking kick out illegal immigrants. Like, there's been times where they've gone and raided places in Melbourne to go and fucking get, like, illegal immigrants out. And the hippie fucking uni students come down en masse and start fucking protesting. Like, how dare you throw him out of the country? Because the cunt's not supposed to be here, you fuckwit.
Yeah.
Oh, but that's not an excuse. Yes, it fucking is, you dumb cunt. What the fuck's wrong with you?
It's becoming a real problem here in the States. And like it doesn't take more than a brain cell of processing power to realize that, hey, maybe, unchecked migration and allowing crime to run rampant is a good idea. But politicians don't care, because they're going to do whatever they want, and they're going to reshape things the way they want. So my bigger ask is, why are we letting all these, like, sure. Let me start over. Let me start over from this segment that I kind of want to, because I kind of need to reformat what I'm posing.
Just real quick before I forget, I got two theories. The first one is they're all voters to replace everybody who's not voting Democrat anymore, and that's a Labor right tactic to get illegal immigrants in, and then, by the time they fucking become citizens and shit, they'll vote fucking Labor again. Now, with you guys, it's a bit different. You got to be citizens first, but they're trying to fucking make out that you don't have to be anymore and all this, so they can let these migrants fucking vote. And the stupid part about it is there are so many people that are just going along with it. I'm fucking frightened about that. Secondly, that was the whole part with this magistrate going about the fucking the sitting president can fucking assassinate his rival and call it a military coup. Well, it's also fucking pretty well known that in the U.S. military, most of them are conservatives,
right?
Who'll vote Trump,
At least
and it's more. It's more in the infantry than it is in the rest of the military. And by saying that, you might have, say, 10 guys in a section. 9 of them are Trump supporters, one's a Democrat. Whereas, say, in the catering corps, you might have 10 guys and 3 of them might be Democrats and the rest are Trump supporters.
Yeah,
so,
those 10 guys are still really fucking tight-knit. And if the one guy turns out to be a snitch, well, he gets... at the very least, he gets a blanket party.
Well, having said that, right, now fucking that means pretty much that Camel Toe is not really going to be able to use the US military in the military coup kind of thing. But you've got this fucking readily available couple of million people, army worth of fucking all these crooks, crims, and fucking people who know how to use guns and shit like that are already organised in gangs and shit.
Yeah.
Recruit them.
He may as well.
So there's your two theories.
What's that?
There's your two theories.
Yeah, and you know what? I support both theories. But
one's definitely replacement of the voters one. That's definitely correct.
Yeah.
You got that off us.
Here's, and I realized that as I was speaking, so I want to reformulate my thought here. We're bringing in the. Right now we're bussing in the Haitians. We were bussing in the fucking Argentinians, and we were bussing in the Mexican cartels. And Harris has a historic history of allowing these elements that don't mesh with our society to run rampant, to run free, to the point that they are given, and I'm not kidding when I say this, because there's documentation that I have personally seen on fucking Twitter and on fucking on social media at large, right? Documentation that they are being given diplomatic status. We're letting in all of these peoples, and we're calling them diplomats, right? And so we have video evidence, and in this case of the Haitians coming in, and this is just the newest in a long line of issues. We have these Haitians coming in, and they're doing terrible things to people's pets. There's a video I watched today before the stream started, before Farty and I started talking. There was a video I watched today. It was like 2 minutes long, and this lady is hysteric. Her dog was killed in front of her, and the Haitian person just dragged it off. There's a video that Farty and I looked at on Wednesday, about this lady who they called the cops on. They called the cops on this lady in a fucking, what was it, like an apartment complex or something, I think. And
Yeah.
and she was standing over a fucking dead cat that she had just killed, and she's eating it cold. She's eating it raw right there. And the cop goes up to her and goes, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, she knows he doesn't speak English because she wasn't replying to the cops at all.
Yeah. And I'm like,
So
we
in and
used,
out, yeah.
we used to say we had standards in this country. We used to say that you had to, bare minimum, speak English to walk in. Right? You could learn, all the other shit you wanted to as time progressed. Right? And you've now escaped, and this is my question for the migrants. You've now escaped these really bad conditions. Right? You've now escaped these really bad conditions. And I realize that a lot of it's habit. But at a certain point, you gotta go, is killing a cat really that much more difficult than going to the food pantry? They don't even ask you for proof of identification anymore when you go to the food pantry. Because I've needed to do it myself in recent years. You go to the food pantry, they have food in there for you. You just go, okay, well, give me a bag of food. I go home, I eat it. That's my groceries for, a couple of days at minimum. They're being given, these immigrants are being given, and I say immigrant loosely because I really don't believe they're immigrants. I believe they're here illegally, and I believe they're here politically. So I don't know what the proper term to use is. They're not immigrants. They didn't come here because they could provide a better life for their family, and they could provide something to our society. Right? I would love to migrate somewhere, but what the fuck am I going to contribute to whatever country I move to? Right? I'm just a fucking fat piece of shit loudmouth American. What the fuck am I going to do?
Well, 3D printed the Sierra Leone, 3D print prosthetic limbs for fucking a lot of the amputees.
Yeah, I suppose I could do that. At any rate, you're is it really, you got to stop and ask yourself, you've come to this country, and I'm trying to be empathetic here. I'm really trying. And after all, my father was an immigrant. All right? So I'm really trying to be empathetic. I'm really taking this on the lens as a first generation American whose parent was from another country, from Europe, from specifically Ireland. Right? He spoke Gaelic, he spoke Latin. That's how Irish he was. He spoke 3 fucking languages. Why? Because that's what old school Irish Catholics did. They spoke Latin, they spoke Gaelic, they spoke English, and they spoke them all fluently. And it was fucking insane. And just fuck, dude. I'm trying to be empathetic is the point that I'm making, right? At a certain point, you have to ask yourself, you've come to this country and you're being given money to live here. You're being given my taxpayer dollars to be here. And you did nothing to earn it. At the very least, can you just go and buy a fucking can of Spam instead of walking into the grocery store? And this is another thing they're doing. They're walking into the grocery store and they're just eating shit off of the shelves like it was a fucking buffet, a free buffet. And none of them are being arrested because they're all being given diplomat status. Because not every fucking state in the United States is a sanctuary state. And not every fucking city in the United States is a sanctuary city or a sanctuary town. And there's a lot of sanctuaries in the fucking states that just won't even arrest these people for violating laws. And they're
Well, the
go ahead.
degradation of standards, I can tell you, comes from the hippie generation because they're the first ones with the hell no, we won't go and we won't do as we're told. Fucking, they're also the ones that, like, you know, especially the late 60s, early 70s ones that were having kids by the end of the 70s and now divorcing during the 80s, bringing in political correctness. So we're trying to watch what we're fucking saying around everybody. And then by the end of the 80s, you know, you got, you know, another bit of feminism sort of starting to creep back in, fucking, you know, with the girls need to join the Boy Scouts and all this kind of shit. And men can't have, you know, their own fucking safe places like with, you know, men's only clubs and whatnot. You got to allow women's. And then you get into, you know, promiscuity is not so fucking shamed upon. Neither is underage pregnancy. Fucking or pregnancy out of wedlock. Single mothers are fucking pretty much now fucking championed, and you know, there's a lot of these bleeding heart kind of people saying that we can't treat people like shit anymore for the stupid choices that they make in an attempt so that they'd be too embarrassed to make the fucking choice in the first place. You know what I mean? That's how that used to work. You know, fucking used to be ashamed of being pregnant underage. Used to be ashamed of being divorced. You know, used to be ashamed of being a fucking slut. But now none of that's like that anymore. And in conjunction with that, you got the fucking the other side of the bleeding where they're trying to fucking make the world a better place, like the fucking hippies used to do.
Yeah,
and that involves
making the world a better place. There's making your life a better life, and that is it. And we need to
and that involves fucking, you know, like a mass fucking murderer like Charles Manson. Oh, but we got to be empathetic about him because, you know, he is a man. You know, he's a person. Or like Idi Amin or fucking Pol Pot. You know, they'll argue for them to be fucking treated like fucking, you know, like precious little fucking babies and stuff like that after what they've all done.
Ed Gein. Yeah, he's just a little empathy for Ed Gein, please. Yeah, he fucking killed and ate people. Okay.
Yeah, you got to use proper pronouns because he's LBGTQRS. He likes to wear other people's skin as his sexual fetish. You know, fucking Jesus Christ.
It's just, I'm so tired, Farty, of this world. I'm tired of people acting as though they're morally superior to one another because I believe blah 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 blah. I believe for equal rights in Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and Gozer the Gozerian should be allowed to stay.
Yeah. Well, ultimately, these kinds of cunts are the ones that will let these fucking, you know, men of fighting age with no fucking identification and shit that come out of fucking Venezuelan prisons and stuff like that because they're the kind of cunts who will go out with a fucking serial killer that preys on women and thinks that they can change them. You know, oh, we got to treat them nicely because the compassion will turn them into nice, civilized people. No, that doesn't fucking work. They won't listen to me because they think that they're all that in a bag of chips. And the monkey here who's camouflage jacket talking about warfare, you know, you should fucking listen to him. Nah, they're the ones that kind of argue with me over the subject because, oh, how dare this person know more than me and he's never right and all this fucking dirty orange man, bad supporter and all this kind of shit. And fucking then they got to find out the fucking hard way when it's too fucking late.
Yeah. It reminds me of a video I saw earlier today. Before we started talking, it was another video that I saw. I watch a lot of fucking short clip videos before the stream. And I do that primarily because like I want I think if it's going to be pertinent to what we're discussing, right? I think if it's going to be pertinent to the podcast, right? Why not, you know, take in as much information as I get? So it reminds me of this video that I saw. This cop pulls over this like 20-year-old kid. He's showing off, you know, for his girlfriend in the passenger seat. He's fucking whipping around, speeding, doing all sorts of bullshit. The cop pulls him over, gives him a ticket for speeding. And then same cop later that night was talking to his sergeant about the car accident that this kid had gotten into. And he killed himself and his girlfriend in the car after the cop told him to cool it and stop speeding. And
was it a white car?
what's that?
Was it a white car?
Yeah. So I think you saw the same video as I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this kid fucking dies even after being told, "Hey, maybe fucking calm down." And they go off the road, and I think they hit I think it was a sound barrier, right? A highway sound barrier.
Fucking semi-trailer.
Was it? The video was kind of the version of the video I saw was kind of grainy during that part.
Yeah, it's like an overpass thing, right?
Yeah, and that car was fucked.
It was like the concrete fucking ramp on where the road sort of rises up. But like, there's like just before that, there's like a side street, and there was a semi-trailer turning in the side street. They flipped the ass of the semi-trailer and smacked into that fucking concrete.
Okay, so that's what I saw. Yeah. So yeah, both of them pancaked in the front of this car, you know, in the fucking against the dashboard. Both DOAs, and the cop is flabbergasted, and the sergeant, he's all like, "Hey, are you good?" And he's like, "Yeah, but I just told these assholes to fucking slow down." And it reminds me of that. Like, dude, just fucking, we're asking you as a nation to fucking maybe calm the fuck down when you come here. And maybe fucking, you know, if you're gonna stay here, fucking maybe, what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe not conform. What's the word? The fucking word I'm looking for? Acclimate. That's the word I'm looking for. Maybe fucking acclimate. Is that so much to ask for? You're being given money, right? Taxpayer fucking money from taxes that were stolen from the citizenry here. And you're being given basically the lap of luxury. You're given fucking condos, hotel rooms, every fucking thing to stay in for fucking free. All at our taxpayer expense. We've got fucking hotels that are staffed by military fucking personnel. Military personnel who are stationed in these hotels that have been taken over by the fucking government for fucking migrants to fucking set up camp in. And all...
Well, that's they're taken over by themselves, isn't you? And that's not including those.
I know. And all I'm asking is for some fucking acclimation. Don't eat the fucking dogs. Don't eat the fucking cats off the street. You're getting fucking free money. Go to the fucking food pantry.
Well, one problem that I perceive is that fucking you guys are going to have to rejig your fucking system, and there is going to have to be some form of authoritarianism in there. And I noticed that even women are arguing for fucking repealing the 19th Amendment, which was allowing women to vote. And that's part of where I'm going with this authoritarianism, is that you're going to have to take some rights away from some fucking people, because evidently some of you can't be fucking trusted to scratch your own ass in fucking public, let alone fucking make a decision. And a lot of you are actually an incorrect decision out of fucking spite for everybody else, and it's the rest of the world that are now saying, no, fuck you and your system, fuck you and you're dying on your hill and all this kind of stuff, trying to make a fucking point bullshit. We can't afford to fucking do this shit, so you can't fucking change your shit and, like, you know, stop fucking being so fucking stubborn about certain bloody things. Jailers need to lose the vote. You need to have some form, like with what we've got with the Governor General, that if the Australian Prime Minister is being a complete fuckwit, we can petition the Governor General to ask the Queen, now King, to sack him. And we've done that before. We've done it a couple of times. Fucking Gough Whitlam was one of them that was famously sacked by the Queen when we asked the Governor General to do something about him, because he was literally ruining the country. And we got rid of him far fucking before, like, you guys have gotten where you guys are. So, like, if this was Australia, fucking, we would have had Jack the fucking bloody potato fucking Joe fucking a couple of years ago, and especially when it was starting to look like this cunt and all of his dickhead supporters and the rest of his fucking party and the stupid fucking sluts that keep voting for him are quite honestly leading us to the end of fucking existence in its entirety. And I'm not fucking joking about it.
No, yeah,
like those be fucking stopped. They're in fact the fucking enemy. You know, they're a detriment to the fucking the world, and in fact, the whole planet should fucking rise up and fucking try and take out the fucking Democrats because they're just akin to the fucking Nazis at the moment. And I'm not saying that as a hyperbole either.
No,
I'm not saying that as a line because fucking everyone's calling every cunt Nazis and Hitler nowadays. It's literally they are a fucking faction or a political party that's just as bad as the PLO, the CCP, the fucking the Russian Communist Party, fucking all these other fucking regimes that simply need to be wiped off the face of the fucking earth, like we did with the Nazis back in the 40s.
No, and I agree with you that, but but at the same, I agree that that there's gonna have to be changes, and the rub is that again, like you said, there's gonna have to be some authoritarianism, and I don't think the right has the capacity to do that. I think the right is just going to continue to let the fucking left walk all over them. And I think,
Well, you see, the problem there too is that the Democrats have got it at the stage now where they can be as arrogant, insulting, and abusive as they fucking want, but we're all still trying to make the fucking high ground by saying, no, we can't oust fucking Biden even though he's like completely destroyed the country and he's ruining the planet and he's about to fucking get us all killed. We can't do that because our stupid fucking constitution and our traditions and shit say that we've just got to suck this fucker up for 4 fucking years and just like it. You know? That's the kind of shit I'm talking about. You gotta start fucking getting rid of that kind of shit.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, but at the same time I don't like it. But I don't have to like it to agree with it. Gee.
But on top of that, too, I don't really want that to happen because the way that America is now, or the way that it was built on fucking, it was an improvement on what Britain was doing. Like, Britain was actually, by the time they colonised Australia and all this kind of stuff, they'd gone away from, just coming in fucking guns blazing and all this kind of shit. They'd learnt with the Maoris that maybe fucking talking's probably a bit better. So when they got to Australia with the Aboriginals, they tried to make peace and all this kind of shit with them. And then from then on, right, they were trying to fucking start doing the right thing by all the colonies in the Commonwealth and all this kind of shit. You have a look at fucking Botswana, for example, when the Brits pulled out of...
Revolution actually helped some of that too. Because by the time we were trying to secede from England, we were
with Botswana, fucking you're gonna make me forget. With Botswana, fucking they realised when the Brits pulled out that there was no one educated in the country, and they asked them to come back and give them a hand, and the Brits did. Now they're one of the most popular, most wealthy countries in Africa at the moment. Yeah. But while you guys were fucking having your civil war and all this kind of shit, the Brits were the first ones in the world to start fucking stopping the slave trade and all this kind of stuff, and they were actually utilising their military and their own money to go ahead and do that kind of stuff.
But the point that I was trying to make is that by the time we had said enough is enough with Britain, we were a small force comparatively speaking. Like, Britain had so many more fucking hands, right? They could do so much fucking more, and we showed them up.
Not at that point. You've got to remember, too, that Britain was about 7 different fucking wars at the same time. They had the war in Crimea. They had fucking the thing with the French. They just finished the French off for the 2nd or 3rd time. Fucking, right. There was a whole bunch of other shit that they were dealing with at the same time. And when you guys started kicking off, they literally didn't have another spare hand to fucking send out to you, let alone a couple of ships. So they just went, fuck them, let them go. Pretty much.
Right. And like I said, that our revolt against them had a hand in them changing their tune, going, maybe, going in and fucking burning everything down isn't a great idea.
But you're thinking of the War of Independence. I'm talking more of the Civil War.
No, I'm talking independent. I'm talking the Independent War. I'm talking about when...
By the Civil War, the Brits had started fucking clamping down on slavery and all this kind of stuff. And it's recognised as one of the greatest altruistic fucking actions of any country in the history of the planet, because They literally spent millions upon millions upon millions of dollars on their own money to do something that absolutely nobody wanted to fucking do. And it's far more lucrative to keep going
Right.
because it was a moral standpoint. And we forced the fucking world to do it pretty much.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. I'm just saying that by the time that America seceded, or the United States seceded from England, like that war kind of triggered something in them going, maybe we should reevaluate this.
No, it was more the war with the Maoris because at that point the Brits were fucking basically kicking every cunt's ass. And like I said, with the War of Independence, it was the kind of a case of the Brits really couldn't fucking do anything if they wanted to, so they had to let you go.
Yeah.
But when they got to New Zealand, and it was actually the Maoris that taught the world trench warfare. They came up with this militaristically fucking advanced bunch of fucking natives that basically took these guns with modern weapons and stuff like that and wiped the fucking floor with them. And the Brits just went, holy shit, yeah, maybe we should fucking, reevaluate our position. But anyway, the fucking point I've been trying to make for the last 20 fucking minutes, but every time I'm just about to fucking make it, you fucking interrupt.
I'm sorry, go
fucking,
ahead.
For fuck's sake, shut up.
Trying to,
is
shut up.
the altruistic shit that like America does too, that like, it's a bit of a shame that it'd lose, because once you start becoming that slight bit of authoritarian, that's going to run away. People will start taking more and more power. You make that first argument to say, right, well, we need to relinquish a right here, and now I'm starting to sound like Dodge, but more intelligent. The fucking we make the argument, we relinquish this law here, we'll relinquish that law there next. But you didn't mind about the last law, and this is only an increment up, and then the next thing you know, you got full dictatorship, which is what Camel Toe is trying to do right now.
Yeah, and that's what I keep telling people, that you give up a little bit, and people want more out of it. There's an old saying, it goes, give me an inch, and I'll take a mile.
Yeah. Well, anyway, fucking so like that'll ruin America being all like with its altruism and all this kind of stuff, because it's the basis of your rights and all this kind of shit that you're trying to put on everybody else is the whole thing of like the fairness and the good side of fucking everything. And it's why people were siding with you in the first place, was that you weren't some fucking dictatorship authoritarianism. You weren't communist. You weren't Russia. You weren't China. You weren't fucking, you wanted to work with everybody and give everybody their freedoms and all this kind of shit. So to start taking your freedoms away from your other people because of some necessary excuse would be a bit hypocritical and a bit sad to see you go that way when, but it would be a necessary thing on top of that.
Yeah, I agree with you. It would be necessary. The problem is getting people to recognize those human rights after so much has been just given up. Because, like you said, it just keeps going. Where does it end? Well, it ends with fucking China. You become China.
But also is how you end up with the Australian Special Air Service Regiment committing war crimes in Afghanistan. And this was something that I could see in the degradation of the Army standards and trainings. And standards of training everywhere else, as a matter of fact, too, have been going downhill since the 90s. And, I could see that, like, there was, certain elements inside the Army that were getting a bit weird in how they were thinking and whatnot. And there was, like, talk about like taking prisoners and stuff like that. Well, I was always taught that, like in an ambush, you keep firing when you're advancing on their position, so that there are no prisoners alive to be taken. Because once you get onto their position, if they're wounded or alive, you got to fucking either look after them and then take them prisoner. And well, you make sure they're dead before you get to them. So like, the people say, "Oh, you shoot prisoners and all this kind of stuff." And it's like, well, yeah, kind of. That's what we were told. Search for, or close with, search for, or search for, close with, and then kill and or destroy the enemy. Note the terms. Kill it or destroy. Not very fucking peaceful terms now, are they? But fucking treatment of prisoners and all this kind of stuff, we're supposed to be fairly fucking reasonable about that. We're supposed to be renowned for being quite fair with people. But then you get, like, elements of the SAS, like I said, that have been to, like, been to Afghanistan several times. and that's part of what they're blaming on the behaviour of some of these guys. And it turns out that, like, you know, on operations and stuff like that, they'd go out, they'd grab a cheese stick, and, you know, a slap across the fucking face turns into a punch in the snout, because the slap across the face wasn't that bad, and, you know, it's only a punch in the snout, you know.
Yeah.
Then that turns into a kick in the balls, and,
Yeah, it's
well,
all
no one
escalation.
complains it's incrementally bad, and then, you know, kicking the balls turns into a fucking couple of broken ribs from a couple of, you know, sunken slippers. You know, and then that turns into fucking, you know, you broke a few bones, and then the next thing you know, you're shooting fucking, summarily executing bloody people that you just come across in the fucking field.
Yeah, it's like that, and I encourage people to watch the old TV series Dinosaurs. It's um something to nuts. Hang on, let me uh and it's a two-part episode, Nuts to War. It's a two-part episode, and it was kind of taking place during the oh shit, it aired in 92, so it was taking place during what, Desert Storm?
Yeah.
And so this airs during Desert Storm, and it kind of explains the socio-political ramifications of war. It doesn't explain why there's a war happening, other than, well, we can't get our nuts because the nuts that we had are in some other part of the world, and we can't get to them because of this, that, and other thing, and the other side is preventing us from doing that. And so I don't have a clear memory of the episode. It's a two-part episode. It fucking took 2 weeks to fucking air and finish. And the whole show, they start with, oh, okay, well, right now they're just hitting and spitting at the border. And then all of a sudden someone's throwing sticks. Well, then the other side starts throwing rocks. And you know, they get to the scene toward the end of the episode, the end of the two-part episode, where Earl and his friends dress up as like USO showgirls, and they go to where, you know, this, you know, where the base camp is, and they put on like this USO style thing. Earl gets away from the show, finds Robbie, his son, the oldest of his two children, and tries to convince Robbie to go home with him. Like, stop it, come home. Robbie's been promoted to like a general or some shit, I don't remember. And then you see explosions going off in the fucking background, or you hear explosions going off in the background. So the hitting and spitting, what the fuck is spissing? Anyway, the hitting and spitting, and then the rock throwing, I said it again, and the rock throwing and everything eventually escalated to, you know, explosive devices. And it turns out during this whole thing that Earl was complicit in this, that the trees he was pushing down, right, they were harvesting the sticks from the trees he was pushing down because he was a tree pusher. That was his job. Push trees down, get them out of the way. Why? Just fucking do it. Who cares why? And the sticks they were harvesting from the trees were going to the front lines. And the We Say So Corporation, the corporation that Earl worked for, which, you know, go push down the trees. Okay, why? We say so, that's why. So he goes out and fucking finds out that We Say So's selling the sticks and the rocks to both sides. And they were funding the escalation. And when people say slippery slope, what you really have to take into consideration is they don't mean this fallacy that you've put in your head that, oh, you know, it doesn't happen. No, escalation does happen, and we need to stop saying slippery slope. That's one of the points I want to make. We need to stop saying slippery slope, because that's not what it is. It's an escalation. A slippery slope means you just set something there and it's off on its own. No. This is an escalation. Sorry, Farty. What do you want to say?
It's racist nowadays.
Oh, okay, racist. But the escalation, huh?
Slippery slope. Slope head!
Oh my god, I'm done with you. You're fired, Farty. Um, I don't actually mean that. Just for everyone listening. So like the slippery slope thing. Yes, it is real, but it is only it's not worded correctly, right? And people need to realize that what we're talking about when we say slippery slope, what we really mean is it's an escalation, and we should be using that instead of this euphemism, right? We need to stop using the euphemism because people are taking the slippery slope to mean that you're using some fallacy. And no, you start with one thing and you give it up, and then you're asked to give up more, and then you're asked to give up more, and you're asked to give up more, and eventually everything that sounds reasonable, right? Um, we want you to give us a little bit more of your money from taxes. We want you to give us a little bit more of your money from taxes, but just a little bit more from your taxes, please. And now I'm using that as maybe like your pocketbook because shit, yeah, that is a thing. Is the government does ask you for money from time to time. That said, I think this is a good place to stop. Uh,
Well, hang on.
yeah, go ahead, Farty. Final thoughts.
Greg, you on some terminology. The slippery slope, and what was the other bit? Other one you said?
Escalation.
Escalation. Yeah, they're both really old terms at this point. Um, let's see. The previous terms were fucking shit. What were they? Fucking on the brink. Now the two correct terms for where we're at is fucking nuclear chicken and fucking what was the other one? What was the other one? What was the other one? Fucking semi-automatic mode at the moment.
Yeah, I was talking specifically not in context of global warfare. I was talking in the context of the whole. Well, we need to correct for this issue that we have of unchecked migration
Yeah.
and the only and and I agreed with you as much as I don't like it that the only way to get away from this problem of unchecked migration is maybe the relinquishing of rights, but that leads up to an escalation of, well, you agreed to this because of this pretext. We're going to use the same pretext to do this, to ask you to give up this.
To stop the migration, that'd be easy just to fucking surge the National Guard to the border and just lock it off and like, no more, that's it, see you later, fuck
Right.
off,
But
bye-bye.
now we have to get rid of the people who are here. And how do we do that?
Yeah.
Because we're going to need
Well,
to trample on rights to do that to an extent, at the very least to an extent. We're going to need to be search and seizures. We're going to need to at least violate the Fourth Amendment because there's going to be people who are going to house these people who live here legally.
quite a lot of them will be easy to find because, like, well, the criminal element and all this kind of stuff will fucking stick out like dog's balls. They'll get picked up eventually, just in the natural process. The rest of them you can take your time and fucking get them because, like, chances are the ones that are flying low and stuff are probably the ones that are working and probably, contributing and whatnot and all this kind of shit. So, when you finally fucking pick them up, well, then you can get rid of them. They're not so urgent. It's the riffraff that you really want to get the fuck out.
Right. And like I said, we're going to need to at least, at the very least, trample on the Fourth Amendment a little bit. At the very least, a little bit. That's the law that prevents illegal searches and seizure. And some of them are going to hide. And they're going to hide in places where they're not, where they may think they're safe. And they might do that with people who live here illegally.
That only applies to Americans. These people are illegal immigrants and they're not American citizens. Therefore, they're not subject to the Constitution. Just like I'm not subject to your laws
Correct.
and shit like that, or your.
But the people.
Same thing for me as well. If I was even a tourist.
Correct. And I understand that. What I'm saying, and I agree with, and I back that. What I'm saying is the people who are here legally, the people who maybe were born here, that
Oh,
have a sort of sympathy toward these people who are being hunted and ejected from the country. Maybe they're housing these people who are not here legally, who are doing these things illegally, who are, maybe they're definitely going to have to face the wrath of a system that puts the Fourth Amendment on hold.
well, I can give you an idea about how that'd work, and it wouldn't so much be a legal search and seizure for the simple reason that typically the immigration department will stake out a place to see who comes and goes and all this kind of stuff. And if there's people there that they are supposed to be there, they'll have records like DMV records and stuff like that, like a photo on their driver's license, blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
The other people who can't be recognised will be probable cause to go and have a look in the place and ask them what the fuck's going on.
Right.
So yeah,
And
there's
I'm just saying that there could be right, and
and
all
especially
I'm,
if they too,
what's that?
especially if they get a warrant for it too, because they've now got the
Right.
probable cause.
I'm just stating that there could be an instance where the Fourth Amendment is thrown out in order to protect the larger rest of everything. And if people agree to give up the Fourth Amendment temporarily, to suspend it for the sake of fixing these issues, right? Then that can become a potential floodway.
Yeah, yeah.
So I guess that's
I
all.
was
What?
I wasn't just talking about the migration with the nuclear chicken or the semi-automatic
Oh
mark.
no,
That
no,
was
I
more.
was I was using the whole dinosaurs episode as an analogy to the whole, what happens when you escalate thing.
Yeah.
And when you start giving up rights, because the government can only ask you to give up rights. You can't they can't take those rights away from you because that's a violation of human rights. So they have to ask you to give them up. But that said, I'm all out of juice. And I think this is a good point that we hop off. You got anything for us, Farty, before we do? Boobies. Later.
Frank and Farty, they're a couple of jerks. Can't stand each other, but somehow it works. Yelling and screaming, it's all in good fun. 2 hours a week and then they're done. It's garbage, yeah, it's a mess. With Frank and Farty, you know the rest. Buddy Doku's gone, ghost in the stream. He's like Bigfoot in our podcast dream. Frank thinks he's smart, Farty thinks he's right. Put them together and they'll start a fight. Doku's hiding, who knows where. Probably eating snacks in his underwear. Nuke the site from orbit, it's the only way. Aliens got it right, we always say. Blow it all up, start it anew. But we'll be back next week just for you. It's garbage, yeah, it's a mess. With Frank and Farty, you know the rest. Buddy Doku's gone, ghost in the stream. He's like Bigfoot in our podcast dream. So thanks for listening to this crazy ride. Frank and Farty, always side by side. It's garbage, yeah, what a delight. We'll see you next week. Good night.